Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. I am so excited to get started. I already see several folks logging on to make sure they get this spot for this amazing webinar tonight. So if you are just joining, don't worry, you still have time to grab some water, grab some coffee, maybe some tea, and settle in, because tonight's presentation definitely is one you do not want to miss. I am so excited that we have so many folks, teachers joining us from truly all around the country. And I'm just so honored to be here guiding you through this tonight. Now, I am not the featured presenter. My name's Lisa Harding. I know many of you from the Facebook group. So I'm so glad to welcome you here. If you found this through a friend, through LinkedIn, through an email, and you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, I'll show you in just a minute how you can join that. But I want to get everyone comfortable and confident with the webinar software before we begin. Our presenter tonight, her name is Rachel Serwetz. She'll be coming on in about 15 minutes with the truly featured presentation tonight. Rachel is absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to be here as your guide. So you can consider me your tour guide tonight. I'll be behind the scenes. Any questions that you have, whether it's troubleshooting with technology, or if you have questions for Rachel, I'll be facilitating the Q&A at the end. So I'm just here to make sure that everyone has the best time and experience tonight. And I think I see Rachel joining in now. So hi, Rachel. Once you're all set up, do you want to pop on and test your microphone? Say hello to everyone.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, you are sounding great. Thank you for jumping on early. I was just welcoming all the attendees. Guys, we have over 300 teachers joining us tonight. It's absolutely incredible. And I know it's probably been a long day. Adding a job search or a career exploration on top of your already busy plate is so hard, but thank you for carving out some time to be with us here tonight. And I promise we will make the most of your time. Now, before we jump into the session, and like I said, don't worry, you still have 10 minutes, grab some water, grab some tea, whatever's gonna make you comfortable tonight. I'm just going to walk you through some basic housekeeping. Now, since this is a webinar style, it is a little bit different than a Zoom meeting, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to be Instagram ready, guys. Your cameras will be off. Your microphones are going to be off tonight. This is more of a webinar style. Right at 7 o'clock, which is about 10 minutes local time until we start, Rachel's going to kick off the session. 30 minutes jam-packed of information. So get a pencil, get paper. Maybe you have another device you want to take notes, because you're going to get a lot of great information in just 30 minutes. And then we're going to reserve 15 additional minutes to filter questions from the audience. So I'll show you in just a second how you can submit those. If you look on your screen, let me find it right here. If you're not familiar with Zoom webinar, it is very similar to Zoom meetings, so hopefully you guys are, but there is chat and questions. Those are two different things. Now, because of the volume of attendees tonight, I want to make sure that I answer and get responses to every single person that writes in. So we're going to use the questions box for that. That's going to come directly to me. I'll be able to go through those. I can either reply to you directly, or when they're questions for Rachel, I will save those and I will ask them of her at the end of the session. We'll keep you on your toes, Rachel. I know there's going to be lots of great questions that are coming in. Now, everyone loves a little bit of a practice. So why don't you go ahead, jump down to your questions box, find that right now, and write into me your name and where you're from. I would love to give you a shout out tonight and see where we have folks joining us from. Now, if you're just signing on, don't worry, you haven't missed a thing. My name's Lisa. I'm your host here tonight at Learn the World's very first webinar, all about helping teachers with their career pivot. And specifically tonight, we're focusing in on career discovery, exploring what might be next for you. It really is the very first step to the journey you're about to take. And one reason I just had to work with Rachel is she specializes just really in that part of it. And I think once you hear from her, you explore her website, you'll see that the process of identifying what's next is so crucial. It really deserves its own time, its own dedication, making sure that you find an ideal fit for you. So I can't wait to hear from Rachel in just about 8 minutes. So we have Michelle joining us from Cypress, Texas. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. Ellen. Oh my gosh, Ellen from Winter Park, Florida, which is where I'm from. And she said she's also from Zumba, which, guys, I used to teach Zumba back in the day. Hi, Ellen. It's so great to see you here. We have Mark from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome. We have Nancy joining us from Pittsburgh, PA. Tom is here from California. Kristen from Michigan. Hi, Kristen. Are you guys getting hit with snow? Let me know if you were in that snow bout. As I mentioned, I'm here in beautiful Central Florida, Winter Park, which is just outside of Orlando. Keep those shout outs coming in, guys. I'm going to go back a slide, and I want to just make sure everyone is super comfortable and ready for tonight's feature presentation. We're going to get started with that in just about 7 minutes. Keep those shout outs coming in, again, using that questions box, which is how I'll be able to communicate with you behind the scenes once Rachel takes over for tonight's presentation. If you are new to Learn World, this is your first webinar with us. Guess what? You are not alone. This is our very first Learn World webinar, and I am so excited about that, and I'm so glad that Rachel is here to kick off this new webinar series. You guys have probably been part of my Facebook group. I can't believe it's been almost a year since I started that. And things have really grown. I now have a business partner also from the ed tech industry, a colleague of mine. We decided that we just love e-learning, we love teachers, and we know that there is a need to help teachers through this process if it's something that they're choosing to go through. I know a lot of folks are just exploring that right now. So great to have you. Nicole is here from Michigan. She said there's more snow coming on Friday. Kristen, hi, Kristen. Yes, lots of snow. I recognize you from the Facebook group. Thank you for all of your great activity. I know that there are thousands and thousands of folks in there. Now, if you have not yet joined the Facebook group, head on over to Facebook. Maybe you have your mobile device. Maybe you can open another tab. Search for Teacher Career Transitions. This is what it looks like. It also says Learn World on it. So we're transitioning ourselves over to our corporate brand as we start this new venture together. And I'm going to ask you to invite your friends. Maybe you have a coworker, a friend, a relative, a cousin who has had this conversation with you. They're not sure if it's right for them or not, or maybe they're in the thralls of wanting to make a career transition. Go ahead, invite them to the group. The more folks that we have in our little mastermind, the more powerful the group will be. I know that we love to feed off of each other and things like that. So that's absolutely wonderful. So more shout outs. I'll get to those in a minute. Go ahead and use that questions box. This is how you can communicate with me throughout the entire presentation. I'll be your host. Rachel's the featured presenter, and we will have 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. If you are just signing on, hello and welcome. Don't worry, you haven't missed a thing. My name's Lisa. I'll be your host and guide tonight as we explore what it means to make a career pivot and those first steps that you need to consider when you're going through this. So maybe you've decided you want to go through this, or maybe you're not sure yet. Either way, we have something for you. Now, I did want to point this out. I know a lot of you are in the Facebook group. You've seen some of these already, but there's a brand new one I was able to add to the list tonight. These are the next 4 webinars that we have coming up here at Learn World, and you are invited to join all of them absolutely free. You can head on over to our website at learnworldtraining.com. We're going to be walking you through pretty much the whole process of everything you need to consider for the entire journey. The webinars are going to come out when it's convenient for me to schedule them with the subject matter experts. Guys, these trainers are hands-on board with their own coaching business, or they're in the field. They're already in the field of maybe customer success or learning and development. So I'm scheduling them around their schedules. So just keep an eye on the website. And then what's going to happen is all of these are going to come together with ebooks, guides, activities, resume templates, cover letter templates, and so much more into the Learn World course. And guys, this might be the very first time you're hearing about this. I am so excited. This is really the bread and butter of what we wanted to provide. Now, there's lots of great information out there, lots of different types of coaches and folks that specialize in different areas of the process. And that's, again, why I was really drawn to Rachel, because she really focuses on that very first step of career exploration. Our course is going to be divided into 4 sections. The first section is all about shifting your mindset, and that is where tonight's featured presentation kind of falls in. Some of the other ones are going to be sprinkled throughout, and again, when we do them live, they're not in the correct order, but they will be ordered in our course, and we're going to be adding additional training materials, like I said, resume templates, cover letter templates, and we're going to act as kind of the center to find the best experts and what they specialize in and bring them to you. All right, guys, so we're so excited about that. And I have 2 minutes and I see tons of folks just now signing on. Let me get back to the Q&A. Keep those shout outs coming in. Freda Middle School, we have Colleen, we have Nicole joining us from Michigan. Amy is here, Ellen, Nancy. Oh, let me get on my phone to grab these because everyone is just coming in right now. A few minutes left. Welcome, everyone. As I mentioned, my name's Lisa. I am so excited that you have carved out some time. I know everyone is super busy. I know spring break is around the corner for lots of folks. So thank you, first of all, for putting some time aside and coming to the Learn World webinar tonight. I know you guys are going to get a lot of great information out of this. As folks come on, let me just give some more shout outs. Oh my goodness, we have Taylor here joining us from Southern California. Welcome. Brent is here from Washington State. We have George from Washington, D.C. Karen is here from Mississippi. Welcome. So great to have you guys. We have Carolina from Alabama. Welcome. Now, if you guys have not joined the Facebook group yet, make sure you jump on over there. There's lots of great things happening in the group, and check out our website. Now, guys, it is 7 o'clock. That means it is time to get started. For those of you that are just signing on, hello and welcome. My name's Lisa Harding. I'm one of the co-founders here at Learn World. My background is in educational technology company. I was in the ed tech space for close to 15 years, working with teachers more in a professional development aspect. And I'm really excited to transition my own career, transition my own experience to bringing you experts in the world of career coaching, resumes, interviews, negotiations, etc. And that is what Learn World is all about. Now, tonight's presentation is going to be part of a larger collection of training in the Learn World course, and it will come from the Shift Your Mindset section of the course. So guys, I just wanted to introduce myself. I will be here the entire webinar in the background answering questions for you, but I know you're here for a great session. So let's go ahead and get started tonight. Welcome to Exploring a Career Pivot for Teachers, First Steps to a New Path. Tonight's presentation is presented by Rachel Serwetz. Rachel is a certified coach specializing in career exploration. Before becoming a certified coach through the International Coaching Federation, Rachel earned real-world experience in business operations and HR at companies like Aon Hewitt, Goldman Sachs, and Bridgewater Associates. Rachel also earned her technology MBA. What I think is so great about what she's done is she combined all of that experience to create her company WOKEN, which is an online career exploration platform that helps folks just like you that are going through that first process of identifying an ideal job and exploring a career path that really will be the best fit for them. So without any more waiting, Rachel, welcome.
Hello, how's it going?
It is great. We have lots of folks on, so go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
Uh-oh, it says disabled participant screen sharing, so.
Okay. Just give me 1 second.
All good.
Thanks everyone for your patience. As I mentioned, this is our very first webinar. I thought we had it all set up, but here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just make you the host, Rachel, and then that should do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let me know when to.
Okay, you should be good.
All right, we're good. We're good, everyone. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay, and by the way, everyone, I do have the chat. So I know, we have Q&A and everything, but if you need anything and things arise along the way, I will look at the chat. Lisa, if there's a question throughout that you want me to hit, we will always hit questions at the end, but you guys just keep me posted and I'm going to forge forward. So we are here to talk about career pivots and really how to think about the best path that you want and what's the right fit for you and what options exist and all that good stuff. So Lisa went over my background, so I'll sort of skip that. All right, we're going to talk about benefits of changes, limiting mindsets, getting comfortable with change, how to pursue career exploration, feasibility of pivots, upskilling and debating upskilling options, personal branding. There's a lot in here, so buckle up and then we will open it up to questions. So why are career adjustments actually a good thing? I know a lot of us, I just had this conversation literally today and I was typing about it on my LinkedIn because people feel hesitant and it makes sense why your initial gut is like, oh, am I going to have to take a step back or what's going to happen to all the work I've already put in and all this amazing stuff. And it's really valid feelings, but why can it be a good thing? Well, first of all, your job search is going to be so much easier if you do know the direction you want to go in, right? You will be able to narrow in faster on opportunities and you'll be more effective in the interviews if you really know truly why you're there and you have that compelling, authentic story. And it exposes you to other opportunities, right? So if you are in the right path, right? Once you get into, I know Lisa's coming from the ed tech world, but say you go into whatever company or whatever it is, you're going to learn about such a new world. And then from there, you're going to have this like more organic ability to say, okay, not just what is next for me, but what could really come in the future and how do I get deeper and deeper and deeper into the right space for me? So we want to take that big step forward, get into the right ballpark, and then from there, see where it takes you organically. You want to think about kind of where you stand today and all the different exposure that you already have to other options around you. I'm going to show you how to do exploration really in a broad way, but think about, the current sort of partners, vendors, affiliates, stakeholders in your remit that are already probably, sort of riding right under your nose, right? So, how do you think about who's already in your remit and slight pivots that may be a lot simpler or quicker or easier or simpler than you may think if there's already adjacent areas of who you work with today. Careers are a winding road, right? I think at some point, right, it used to be such that we picked one lane and one path and we stuck with it. And now being fluid is not just normal, but it's something that there can be so many positives to embrace from the change that you get. You're going to build on your knowledge. You're going to share new things with others because you're going to come from a new direction. So there's just so many benefits for you and for others to embrace an adjacent direction, a new direction, and build on your skills in a new way versus, solely sticking in that one lane and feeling stuck there. So pivots creates opportunity, right? You really want to think about, what is it like? Oh, I want a similar role, but in a different industry. Do I want a different organization? Do I want a different industry, different role? Those are really the three big buckets. It's role, industry, environment. So when you think about each of those three, you can actually reflect on what is it that I really want to change in each of those three buckets, and really what would be ideal in each of those three buckets. And of course, the benefits, right? Studies show that, when you sort of love what you do, you earn more money and earn more money faster, right? If you're the one who's engaged at work, you're going to be the one who's productive and innovative and pushing forward and caring about the work more than probably other people there, right? Another interesting thing you can consider is, how can I combine my several different interests into one? Meaning, is there like a way to combine role in industry, or is there a way to combine a few of my strengths into sort of a new role that accounts for some of those varied components of who I am, and your knowledge and your affinities? And exploring new ways of having impact, right? You may still feel like you believe in the mission of education, but what are all the different places, spaces, and avenues as to where you could deliver on that mission and still have impact in the areas you believe in? But there's different, more realistic, not realistic, but different avenues, right, as to how you can go deliver on that mission, and how and where can you go do that. All right, what else? We've got life benefits. I mean, let's just think simply about your well-being, of how you're going to feel, how you're going to show up to your relationships and your life, and just simply the personal benefits that you get from feeling aligned at work. I mean, I think we all know how it can affect us if we're feeling misaligned or if we're feeling aligned. It can have such repercussions, whether that's negative or positive, right? And you're going to feel, I take people from feeling stuck and confused to the relief that you get when you're like, I know what path makes sense for me. There's truly no better feeling, which is why I do this, because I want you all to feel the same way I do. Okay. Now, what else do we got? Being iterative. So you want to think about, I actually have a blog about this, treating your career kind of like an informed experiment with every step that you take. I realize it's a very big decision and you should always be thoughtful, but say you go into the next path, you can ask yourself, what's going well, what's not going well? What do I like about my role? What do I not like about my industry? And how do I, use that information to make the next step? And you may be saying, oh, but I want to figure out my path, of where I'm going to go in general. Like, I don't want to move 100 times. That's fine too. You're going to be really, really thoughtful about any pivot, but it's okay with every step to reflect and inform the next step, right? Where are the areas for improvement? Okay, so I'm going to walk through some typical limiting beliefs and I'm going to try to squash those for you. So hang tight. Number one, stress. A lot of us feel stress around career decisions. Totally normal, totally valid. However, we don't want you to operate when you're feeling stressed, because it will likely, when we're hating our job, what do? We open up the job boards and we look for something different. And what we usually act in a way that isn't our best self. So instead of acting out of that place of stress, you want to think about structure, meaning you ask yourself, what is my goal? My goal is to find something new, better, and different. What does that mean? That means exploring, learning, reflecting, getting some support, and figuring this thing out and identifying a good direction. Okay, great. What's my first step to doing that? Maybe I need to learn how to do that. I don't know. So the bottom line is, create a process, create some structure. Don't feel like you have to jump from A to Z. You're not going to just job hop and find something immediately without allowing yourself breathing room to explore and reflect and look into things. Give yourself the time and space and support and structure to get from A to Z. Okay. Security. Now, we all want security out of a job, but if that's your only reason for looking for a job, it usually doesn't work out. I see people who will only look for things that feel secure, but they're not aligned with the role. And then you either end up not liking it, or just maybe you're not good at it. So you have to think about your interest in the path, as well as what is a secure choice, what makes sense, what is suitable, as well as what am I going to be good at, interested in, and what, if you're not interested in it, it's not so secure, because you're going to, especially if you hate it. I mean, that's a very strong word, but I see people who make a choice, and if you hate it, you're going to want to move on. So we have to think about, what are you interested in and what is secure? Both of those super, super important. People will often say, I can't do this. Learn before you tell yourselves what you can or cannot do. Always learn, always gather information to make informed decisions. In a nutshell, I'll leave it there. I could obviously go on and say more, but hopefully that's ringing true. Past, right? We often look at our past and say, you know, am I only going to be able to do what I've done in the past? Are people only going to look at my past? Your story is so much more important than just your past. Story means knowing your transferable skills. Story means knowing the direction that's a fit for you so that you can explain it clearly to someone else, right? So do the due diligence, figure out the story if you had to explain it to yourself, and then someone else will be able to resonate and understand. Now, considering where you want to be in the long term is good, but honestly, I like to over-index on the short term. You can and should still understand, oh, if I make this pivot, where might it lead me in the future? But 70–80% of your thinking should be, what is the right role fit for me as a next step, right? And so when you think about your next step, then you're going to open up your world to say, okay, once I'm in that job, now I'm going to better understand where are my options and where can I really go from here. So if you're over indexing on what would be next and what would be a fit, then the rest will usually happen a lot more organically. A lot of people tell me I'm open to any role, I'm open to any industry. To me, that's my flag. If you are saying you're open, to me, it just means you're not sure what you want or you're not sure what's a fit for you. Now, picky is a strong word, but I'd rather you be narrow and be clear as to what it is you want and what's a fit for you, rather than saying I'm open to anything. It's counterintuitive. Being open, it's not that it gives you more options. It just gives you more confusion and more overwhelm. So figure out what's right for you and then find more of the right thing. You can still have volume in what you're doing. Now, a lot of people only go after what they're aware of. It's okay to say, I'm not sure what's out there. I need to learn. There's things I'm unaware of. There's actually over 160,000 unique roles in the US alone. That doesn't mean you have to learn about every single one, but it's okay to say, I'm learning more. And here's what I'm learning about. And especially if you're chatting and networking with other people, how can they help you if you were to say, here's what I need to learn about? Do you happen to know anyone who does that, right? A lot of us think about just interviewing well and crushing the interview and whatnot. Think about conversations. Who do you want to talk to about what, where, and why, right? A conversation, a networking call, or an interview, those are both mirrors into the work you might be doing. So really think about it as a conversation. Okay, we often think about applying. And really what I want you guys to be doing is exploring. And so learn as much as humanly possible before you start applying. Make sure you feel certain and informed about what makes sense for you before you touch any applications. We often look at what others are doing around us. It's very human of us, but look, there might be some other people who are inspiring and motivating and helpful with information. There may be others where we're comparing ourselves and maybe it doesn't serve us to be following them on social media. So really think about you are the one who's going to wake up every day feeling this job. If someone else is going to help you and be a source of positivity in any way or information, great. But if you're sort of noticing that you're maybe not judging yourself, but comparing yourself, then I would just try to bring that focus back to you. And I always say, keep your eyes on your own paper in the sense of what can you do today to push yourself forward? You're already here, so you're doing something great. But try to keep that in mind whenever you notice yourself comparing yourself to others. And fear is so normal. I always say, replace fear with learning. Okay? Replace fear with learning. If you have uncertainties, if you have hesitations, if you have questions, really know that you can learn or reflect to figure out how you feel and what you should do, right? And the fear might be a healthy source of, I have questions, I have things I need, right? And so let's go act on those in the right productive ways to get more certain, to get more confident, to get more comfortable, and figure out what next steps will get you there. Okay. Yeah, let's take a moment. Which phrase, thank you, Lisa, for writing in the chat. What phrase is resonating with you? And I'm seeing the chat, but I will come back to this and make sure I'm hitting all the things you guys are writing in the chat. I want to stay focused, and then I will absolutely come back to any questions in the chat. Is there any phrases or mindsets? And feel free to write in the chat if there's something you want to take forward in terms of some of these positive mindsets that may serve you. Feel free to share in the chat what it is you want to take forward with you. I will forge forward. Yes, instead of looking long-term, focus short-term. Great. Love that. Anyone else want to share in the chat? Yep, not focusing on your past, but your story. Love it, love it, love it. Cool. Ageism, that's an important topic. We'll get to that. Remind me in the Q&A. I want to leave chaos and be more organized. I love that. I love that. Amazing. Creating order out of chaos. Good. All right. So now getting comfortable with change. Picture the feasibility of change. So instead of being like, I don't know what this is all going to look and feel like, just ask yourself, like, what am I worried about? Would it mean a change in hours? Would it mean a change in how I deal with childcare? Would it mean a change in salary? Would it mean a change in, how I am co-parenting? I mean, it could be any number of things. Literally ask yourself, what are the realistic things you need to think about? And that way you can actually just tackle those things. Maybe you need support or a conversation with someone to say, what's feasible for me? And can I make a change? Even if I had to work from home or whatever it may be, really, instead of feeling like this big hesitation, how can you make it realistic and actually tackle what those changes might be, right? I've talked about this a lot, but learning is the key. And just know that the way of getting comfortable is you're going to ask a ton of questions. You're literally going to network with people who are in the roles and in the industries that you are considering so that you can learn directly from them, what these roles are really all about. You can ask every single question. And if you're not feeling sure, then we need to do more learning. So just know that you can learn before you take any action at all. That's the way of finding comfort. Building your support system, right? Who's around you? Are they supporting you? Do you need to have a conversation? Or is there simply a limiting mindset? Maybe you need to work with a mentor, a peer, a coach, a therapist, anyone who can help you to break through some of those hesitations, right? These are all very normal, common feelings, but how do we sort of work through them? So I kind of mentioned this actually, but I'm going to go rather quickly because I want to make sure we have time. This 3-part framework is really great to come back to. So the role, the industry, and the environment, right? Role is, what am I going to be doing all day? What's the style of the work? What are my affinities? What am I natural at? What am I great at? What are the activities and the projects and the skills? The second thing is that industry. So for example, if you're going to go do training and development, what trainings are you going to give? If you're going to do there's a separation between what am I doing all day and then what's the nature of the content that I'm applying it to. And essentially that's industry. Culture is, what is the vibe and the pace and the people and the hours and all the bells and whistles around the physical environment. So this is a great framework to come back to, 3-part framework that you can use whenever you're sort of needing to figure things out. What is career exploration? So it is a process that is distinct from and a precursor to the job search that includes learning and reflection in order to compare, contrast, and clarify which path makes the most sense for you, which path you can get confident in pursuing. Why does it need to come before job searching? It will make your job search more efficient. It will make your interviews more effective, and it will make sure that you actually feel fulfilled with the job that you do get. Okay. How do you go about this process? First, the motivation. Are you ready to actually pursue the journey? That's a decision. That's a choice. That's a commitment. Then we want you to start reflecting. So really, these 3 areas is where we're going to have you start reflecting of what are you like and how can you figure out what you want in each of these 3 buckets. I actually have a career assessment that helps you assess that. But you can also just reflect on your own in those 3 buckets. After that, you want to translate your reflections into potential role titles and potential industries or subsectors. From there, you want to do a little bit of online research. We can't learn everything online, but we can learn some things. Just scratch the surface, get your feet wet. Do not feel like you need to stay in the research phase. There's only so much we can do with the online research. Networking is the number one most important thing. When you meet with professionals in the roles, in the industries that you are considering, you will learn about the true day-to-day of what they are doing and how does that relate to you. And it's important we talk about how to do that well. I have a lot of guidance on my website that I will make sure you guys have. But you really want to network effectively. Don't just hop on the phone and say, oh, how did you get here? What's your path? You really want to get creative with what you ask so that you get that deep, accurate learning. And then we want to reflect and we want to iterate. So you see this little reflection and iteration. There's pivots. Say you chat with 1 or 2 or 3 people a week. It takes about, give or take, a month or 2 or 3. It doesn't have to take forever, depends on your pace. But when you keep iterating and pivoting week over week based on your learnings and you're comparing and you're contrasting, that's what gets you to the point of having that clear direction. From there, you can decide on upskilling options, certifications, trainings, boot camps, further learning. From there, after that, you edit your personal branding materials, and then, of course, you job search. If you still have options for roles or industries, it means we need to do more learning or more reflection. Bottom line. Okay. How do you know if you're actually right for a role? Of course, you got to start with self-awareness. Who are you? What are you great at? What are you natural at? What do you want to be doing all day? And of course, do I have an accurate understanding of what this role truly is? Have I spoken with more than one person? Do I fully accurately picture it as if I were walking into that job tomorrow? That's the level of learning you want to get to. And then, you know, sometimes there's that imposter feeling. You want to really get objective with what are my transferable skills or what are my propensities for what I could be great at. So you really want to get objective with knowing yourself and understanding the roles. That's really the secret, understanding yourself and understanding the paths. If you do those 2 things at the same time, you will be good. Getting objective about your skill set. You know, look at the job descriptions. Have you done similar things in a different way? Have you used similar skills? Have you proven impact? Try to read job descriptions. I don't want to say in such an open-ended way, but you want to understand what the role really looks like on the ground by meeting with people who do it. But you also want to understand transferability of like, have you done that in another context? Yeah, you can look at a job posting and say, what have I done well? What have I done just okay? What am I not great at? What do I want to learn? You can sort of rank each of those bullets on the job posting to say, how do I relate to each of these requirements, right? Benefits to upskilling, right? You know, we want you to, first of all, it gives you something to talk about during interviews. It also makes you feel really positive, whether you're working or not. The ability to learn something new, it allows you to decide and choose what skill do I want to develop. So that choice is so amazing for exploration. It gives you that productive, creative mindset. But of course, it shows people, it shows hiring managers, it shows interviewers that you're invested in pursuing that path, right? If you take some sort of course titled account management or whatever it is that you want to go do, that's really going to show them your commitment to that journey and that pivot. In terms of determining upskilling opportunities, look at where you have skill gaps and do a bunch of research. So the key here is always be thoughtful. So network with people who have done those upskilling programs before and really think about what format is the right fit for you. There's so many options, courses, certifications. It's not meant to have you feel overwhelmed. It's more so to say, give yourself a week or 2 or 3 to just look into the options. If you are at least somewhat thoughtful, that's good. If you're going to take any time and money to upskill, make sure that you really figure out which one is the most worthwhile for you. This is just like a super quick tips on personal branding. So professional summary, this is something you could put on your resume, on your LinkedIn About section, and even use it as the tell me about yourself framework. So the way I like to do professional summary is background, strengths, direction. It sounds so quick and simple, but really it allows you to own your story in the way that you want them to hear so that you can make that pivot. Resume, obviously, clean formatting, strong, copy, strong language, show your impact, show your metrics, obviously use relevant keywords to your intended direction and own that story with the professional summary so that they're not just looking at your past roles, they're looking at who you are. Cover letter, pretty straightforward. I would honestly use a pretty basic template. We don't really know how much people, read these things. So make a strong version and then don't stress too much about it. That's what I would say. Get help, get someone to look at it, get someone to edit it, but don't feel like you need to be editing these materials all day, every day. What you need to be doing is networking and getting your foot in the door. LinkedIn, of course, is super important. Optimize your headline, optimize your about section, include a summary for each experience, get a recommendation, and make sure your settings are open and visible so people know you're looking. thought leadership, right? Writing blogs, sharing articles. I mean, there's so much you can do to just show your knowledge and your expertise, which could be really useful in an interview process if you show them you have those pieces of content. Video, I mean, make a pitch about yourself, record yourself, introduce yourself. Why not get your foot in the door by using technology that we have available to us? Video is a great example of that. Super quickly, this is what I do. This is me, this is WOKEN, and we guide people through this entire journey, making sure you know what to do, how to do it, why to do it, where to do it, when to do it. And I'm going to skip this for the sake of time, but we can maybe come back to it later or in a future webinar, Lisa. But yeah, just want to make sure you guys know who I am and where to find me. I'll make sure to put the link here in the chat. And yeah, I think we're hopefully right on time to open it up to Q&A.
That was awesome, Rachel. And guys, I know tonight was fast and furious. This really was meant to make the most out of your time. I know Rachel gave us a lot of great information. And Rachel, I don't know, I'm going to go ahead and bring the screen back, share a little bit. Oh, I think you have to now make me a host.
Oh, really? Okay. There's a co-host
Or I
option.
bring it back. We'll see. Thank you, guys. Oh, reclaim host. I got it. Here we go. All right. So there was the one question that came up about kind of addressing ageism in the process of getting a job. And can you kind of just address that as one of those barriers?
Oh, sorry. Can you say it one more time?
Addressing the concern or worry about ageism during the
yes,
process.
of course. So let's see. Okay. Ageism is obviously a very valid worry and concern. What I would think about is, first and foremost, we can only control what we can control. Okay, so of course there's tips and tricks and hacks of like removing the year from your education on your resume and whatnot. But to be honest, what we want you to focus on is your knowledge, your expertise, the breadth of your experience, your impact, the fact that you know exactly why you're a fit for that role. And, you know, look, there is something to be said for, you know, figuring out what role is the right fit for you. So with the pivot, it's really interesting because you may or may not have to like start from the bottom. You may be able to start at like some middle level because of your transferable experience. So you want to understand the nuances of how do people typically break into this path, right? What do they look for? How do I get started? What role do I get started in? And really understanding that, and just knowing that, you know, it's a very valid feeling and it's a very valid fear, but just remember, like, what is in your power? It's how to brand yourself really well, how to talk about yourself really perfectly, how to have that informed, you know, knowledge of what this pivot is going to look and feel like, and really using all that information as ammo to do this pivot flawlessly. But that's really all we can do. You do want to understand, like, what is the reality of like, which role would I be targeting, right? Understanding what this is going to look like for you. And look, it's very possible that you're a better fit for more senior roles and being a leader. And that could be great too. So really working with a mentor, a coach, a peer, and just figuring out what is the best direction for you. And understanding the roles and the industries and how they work and how these pivots work to understand where you fit and what it could really look like, so that you're not running up against, you know, things where you don't want to be applying and then realizing, you know, oh no, this isn't how this works, or this isn't the type of role I should go after. So use that information the best that you can, and just remember what is in your power to control, right? And keep your sort of head focused as much as you can on that. And, you know, let's hope we're interviewing at places who know how to hire and know how to be inclusive. And that is what we can hope for, right?
Great. Yeah. And kind of from my perspective as a hiring manager, I actually have never thought of that. I guess maybe because I have never really taken that into account when looking for a good fit. I was always actually on the younger end, and everyone that I ever worked with was actually significantly older than me. And I always had concerns the other way, that I was too young to do something. And that, but of course, that was years ago. I probably don't have that concern now. Rachel, another question that came up, and you mentioned this, but I know it's not specifically in that niche that you're focusing on, but do you have any places that you like to recommend for upskilling? And do you have any online sites that you like to recommend, or where could someone go to even get started with that?
Great question. The reason I don't recommend really anything is because what I would want each person in this audience to do is chat with not just one, not just two, but at least three, if not more people in the target roles and industries that you're looking to pivot into, and ask them, what are the courses that you've taken? What are the courses that your peers and colleagues are taking? What do you look for on a resume? What types of organizations do you think are reputable? It totally varies. If you're looking into, account manager or sales or training and development or curriculum design or whatever the role is, it totally depends. So you want to talk with, the way Lisa, you were saying, oh, like I'm a hiring manager, go talk with those people and understand what they truly value, because otherwise, I don't want to say it's a waste of your time, but that is the way to know what is the best use of my time. And it just totally depends. So it's not like a blanket, like this one site is good always for everything, right? And by the way, with upskilling, sometimes they want to see projects. Maybe you go do a side gig. Maybe you do some pro bono work. Maybe you do some side project or what, freelance. I don't know. Versus a course, a training, a certification. So what type of experience do they want to see? Where can I go get that experience? That I would really look at in terms of your path forward and what the best choice would be for that path.
And to kind of go up what Rachel said to answer this question, again, I'm just one hiring manager from one company, but I have hired teachers into positions on my team before. And I was kind of thinking now, like looking back on who I did hire that was a teacher transitioning the very first time, it seemed to me like they all had something else experience-wise, whether it was a passion, helping out at their students, their own child's school, they had their own YouTube channel, or just something else that they showed the light on. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but if you do something outside of teaching, you want to highlight those skills on your resume, and just gives a great talking point and something that you can point towards experience that you might not think of it as professional job experience, but that experience is just as good, when you're trying to pivot into a new career. Ashley says, I feel like I've gotten a lot of no's and haven't had any interviews or interest yet. How long does it typically take to find a position?
So we didn't exactly get into like job search process. And again, we can do that in a future webinar, but the thing is, it's a funnel. So if you're not seeing, if you're getting no's, or if you haven't had the first round interview, that means getting your foot in the door, which means networking as a way of meeting professionals, introducing yourself, and uncovering openings on the hidden job market where not every role is posted. So you want to do those like top of funnel things to get in front of the right roles, the right teams, the right people, the right companies, the right industries, and literally get your foot in the door. Online applications is usually, I say, 10 to 20% of your time maximum. Networking should be at least 50% of your time in job search. How much time you spend in job search is a different question. Obviously, the more time and volume, if you're doing the right things, the better. But that's what I would think about it in the top of the funnel. The other element is like your materials, right? Your materials are sometimes coming in front of you. So maybe have a look at your resume and things like that, but do not solely rely on the online applications. If you're getting like second round, third round, and no offers, then that's different. That means we need a little more mock interview help, or maybe is it the right role? It's usually one of those two. So that's how I would think about it. Job search is a funnel. You want to look at, where am I struggling? Where am I not seeing results? And based on that, what do I need to optimize?
Great. Lauren just had a great question that I'll turn over to you, Rachel, but I wanted to chime in too. She says, I feel intimidating about asking to do coffee chats. How do you recommend we go about doing this? How do we ask? What do we ask? How long should they be? For folks that may not be familiar with that term, I know that that's kind of a buzzword with what we're doing now. Coffee chat is just reaching out to a professional, like Rachel is saying, in the job that you think you may want, and just asking them, hey, do you have 15 minutes for a coffee chat, usually over Zoom? Basically, can you carve out time and just tell me about your job? So Lauren's asking, I feel intimidated. How do I do that? And before I turn it over to Rachel,
there's a lot of like phrases like, some people say informational interviews, some people say networking, some people say coffee chats. It's all the same thing. It's meeting with another professional to learn from them, and maybe they'll learn from you as well. And it's building relationships, right? So in terms of, by the way, I do have a ton of free resources on this stuff. So do check out my website, because there's so much around this, but I will of course answer this quickly. In terms of how to ask, that is super, super important, because you want to be thoughtful, you want to be clear, you want to be specific, you want to show them you're prepared to use their time wisely. You want to say, you know what, I'd love to ask you about A, B, C, and D. Allude to a few topics, show them you're prepared, show them you know what it is you want to learn from them. That's really going to help you ask in a way that they're going to be impressed with the fact that you took a second to think about it, and that it's going to be easy for them to help you because you've got topics on your mind, versus, oh, like, I just want to network with you. Like, you know, that's really what people get inundated with. So go above and beyond and just say, I'd love to ask you about these various things. You don't have to list full questions, but allude to topics, and then what to ask. On my website, I have a great list of creative questions you can ask in a networking call. You know, there's just so much you can ask. Obviously, you can ask about how people pivot in and what they look for when they're hiring, but really you want to ask about the day-to-day. Instead of saying, what's your day-to-day? I'll give you guys a fun bonus question. I like to say, if your week was a pie chart, how would you divide up your time? Because if they answer that, it's just such a accurate way for you to understand, what is this job doing? And people, it's hard to answer, what do you do all day? So look at my list of questions. I believe I have about 50 questions on there. There's so many things you can ask, but the key of what to ask is really reflect on what is it you want to know and need to know, and really jot down the phrasing of, how can I be super clear and creative in the different things I can ask them about to get more information. And then by the time you have a second call, third call, fourth call, you're going to get more knowledgeable and your questions are going to get more specific. How long should they be? You can ask them for 15 to 20 minutes. Usually people will end up giving you 30 minutes, or if the conversation is really going well, sometimes it goes longer than that. But that's how I would do it with the timing.
Yeah, so, and I wanted to add on to that, Lauren, and everyone, as part of what we're doing over here at Learning World, in addition to these great webinars with different experts, we actually are going to be recording our own coffee chats to take that awkwardness away from you, and to just give you a library of done for you coffee chats that you can just come and watch. And I like that, not only for you all as a transitioning teacher, but also from my experience as a professional, especially now that I have this group. I literally get hundreds of requests for coffee chats every day, and I just cannot possibly do that. So I thought this would be a really great way to streamline everyone's time. And another thing to follow up with, Rachel, when you're doing your coffee chat, you're going to hear phrases that you probably don't know what they mean. Rather than deviating from the important questions that you really wanted to ask them, just make a note of those phrases and then go back to the internet, go to Google, go to YouTube, and type in those phrases to try to learn a little bit more about those things after the coffee chat. Okay, let's see here. We have a post from Reba. It says, it's best that you at least look at their posts and likes and comments. I think she's probably referring to LinkedIn, and that way you've built a bit of a connection with them. That way you're not coming out of the blue asking for a coffee chat, and that's really such a great tip as well. Yes, I'm trying to know someone. And Rachel, just to be mindful of your time, I know we have a few more minutes. Guys, if you have any last questions, get those in. Rachel, another question that came in specifically with LinkedIn, do you have any tips in general for using LinkedIn for networking?
Yeah, I mean, look, LinkedIn is an amazing research tool. It can show you people, alumni of your alma mater, which is an amazing warm connection. You can find literally your alumni network for most every university. You can find warm mutual connections like, oh, I know this person and they know that person. But I personally like to try to get an email introduction more than a LinkedIn, like sending them a message. Just reason being, like, people like you, Lisa, are getting inundated with you know, the messages. So I think if you can get someone's email, or if you can get an introduction to someone via email, it helps, because that's kind of the best place to communicate really with professionals. So yeah, LinkedIn to me is honestly more of a research tool. You can read about their profile, their background, identify connections, identify alumni, identify mutual connections that you have in common. That's kind of the way I like to use it, right? I hope I'm answering that question.
Yeah, I think that's great. We did have another question come in. How do I find freelance or nonprofit work that will help me gain experience? And I just want to say that from my perspective, this will be really specific to whatever field you're going to go into. And I actually do have some webinars that will be coming out on this topic. But Rachel, do you have any response to that question from the audience?
Sorry, say it one more time.
How do I find freelance or nonprofit work that will help me gain experience?
Oh, yeah. So freelance, I mean, there's sites like Upwork, there's sites like Fiverr, or just networking. I mean, if you can brainstorm, is it a startup, or like, is it a nonprofit? Like literally, how do I just meet the people and try to get my foot in the door and get an informational call? Exactly what we're talking about. Meet the people at the organizations that you think you could freelance for. As well as maybe looking at sites that are actually devoted to that. Actually, on LinkedIn, you can actually say that you provide services, and you can do something like that as well. But really, I would say networking, and then a combination of perhaps tools that are devoted to match people who are seeking freelancers with the freelancer profiles. You know, Upwork is one example. And networking is always a good way of just exploring who's out there, what's out there, who needs what, how do I get introductions? You know, maybe you start a website, maybe you start showcasing, here's what I can offer you, right? So it's kind of like any entrepreneurial journey. It sort of snowballs. You got to have like one foot in front of the other, and you take baby steps, and then eventually you're this hot freelancer that everyone wants.
That's great, Rachel. And I know a lot of these questions, and I'm seeing more comments coming in privately as well, just kind of being overwhelmed, not sure where to start, and questions really ranging from this exploration process through resume, LinkedIn, and we're getting interview questions now. I do want to let you guys know that this truly is a journey, and there is a lot of information. We're going to try to break it all down for you in these bite-sized pieces and webinars, but I do appreciate everyone's questions tonight. Hopefully this was a great kind of jumping off point for you to start thinking about different things to consider as you start this. This by no means is the end all be all to getting started with a career pivot, but I do think it was a great way to kind of decide, you know, is this the right time for me? What are some things that I need to do? How can I start to shift and reframe my mindset? And I think Rachel did a really great job of setting that up. It's not going to be easy when I don't think anyone is saying that it will be, but there are tons of great resources out there. And I know even Kendall was asking, like, I don't know anything else. And I think that that's a really common feeling for a lot of teachers, not just that they don't think they can do anything else, they don't know what else is there to do.
Yeah, and I would just keep in mind that, you know, many people feel that way. Like, I know right now we're in this world of educators in the room, but many people who are looking to pivot feel that same exact way. So, you know, I realize there's like how do you jump from networking to the roles, or networking with people when you don't know which roles? This is the tool that I designed. So it's hard for me to say, like, go do some other thing that exists, because I literally built it because I didn't see other things that of course there are career assessments, but what happens is other career assessments sometimes will spit out an answer, and then you're kind of like, I don't know, I don't actually like these things, and I don't know where to go from here. What our tool does is more like this continued assessment, where you can uncover some initial options, but then continue learning and get deeper. And that short list evolves in terms of what's roles and industries that you're going to look into. So it's a journey. It's not a thing that could just happen like this, but that is what I do, is, you know, help you identify some of those initial transferable things. And look, I don't want to just give you like, here are the things that commonly teachers could look into. I mean, maybe we could do something like that, and I can give you some of those ideas, but it's very possible that you're different from another teacher. So it's best to go about it individually and say, what am I great at? What do I want to be doing? And what roles are relevant to that? And that's where I would start. Obviously, there's so much more we can do and say together, but I'll hand it back over for our
Yeah.
sign off here.
That's one reason I really loved kind of bringing Rachel into the Learn World kind of family that we're starting here. So what I'm trying to do with my partner here at Learn World is kind of what Rachel said, is we're going to give you some of those really easy, like learning and development, customer success, corporate training. Like there's certain jobs that people just always talk about teachers going into, and we're going to be bringing you webinars on all of those areas that you can learn about those most popular ones. But a lot of people are going to need a little bit more. And like Rachel said, there's always going to be evolving and changing. So you can learn about some of those general ones, but if you really are in a place where you need to dig in, Learn World also wants to connect you to the right experts for the part of the process that you are in. And I really feel that Rachel is such a, like her website, her product, what she does, and just her experience is really great for that career exploration. All right, guys, I think everyone has the link to Rachel's website. So Rachel, I'm going to thank you so much. I do have a couple other things to share with the audience about Learn World, but Rachel, thank you so much for your time. Guys, a lot more is coming. I wanted to point some things out to you about Learn World and what we're doing. And as I mentioned, tonight's presentation is coming from that first part of the course that we're putting together for you about shifting your mindset. And there's a lot more to dig into that. Rachel is just one of our experts. What we're going to be doing is going out, we've already started this. We're finding experts in specific areas and bringing all of their knowledge together in one place so that our course isn't just one voice. It isn't just one coach's experience. We are going out and finding a variety of coaches, resume writers, LinkedIn professionals. Did you know that there's such thing as certified negotiation coaches, interview coaches, and then professionals in the field? We have someone from learning and development that worked at Pandora and SiriusXM. They're going to talk about that, customer success, all the different roles within that. So we're going to be able to share lots of different careers with you that teachers are going into. And as you come to the webinars, as you take the course, if you find that you are kind of stuck in one of the areas, not only are you going to get all of this great information, you're going to be introduced to professionals like Rachel who have additional help for you so that you know that you're going to a trusted source. If you need to really dig into that career exploration, you now know a source to dig deep into that. If you go through the course and you realize that you need help one-on-one with your resume, even though we're going to have lots of resume resources for you, we're going to have bullet points, templates, all of that, but maybe you want someone to take a look at your resume. We're going to be able to guide you to an expert for that. Maybe it's, again, the negotiation. You got your salary offer, you listened to the negotiation tips and techniques, you've gone through the workbook we put together, but you want one-on-one coaching on how to reply to your negotiation. We're going to have those experts for you. So I'm just so excited about this course. I feel very honored to be in a place to take my industry experience in the e-learning industry to bring this course to you. We're putting it together now. And if you'd like to get on the notification list, I have the link up on the screen, guys. There's no obligation. We're still building the course. I can honestly say I have no idea what it's going to cost. We do have to pay these professionals to put all of this together for us. So once we do that, we're going to make it as affordable as possible, but we will be offering an early bird discount for anyone that's on this notification list. So if you want that, and it's going to be huge, guys, because I want the first folks that go through this to really dig in, get value out of it, like everyone will, but it's up here on the screen. Let me go ahead and grab the link for you. I do, as you can see, I have my little cheat sheet here. I'm going to grab this interest link and send it over to everyone through the chat. Just put your email address on this list. As soon as the Learn World course is available, we will email you. I'm sure there'll be lots of goodies. There'll be discounts. and you'll get access to absolutely everything. It's going to be recordings of webinars like this, other step-by-step training guides, resources, and we're really going to break it down and walk you through everything step by step. So I see lots of great thank yous coming in. Lily, Reba, Ashley, thank you everyone for joining. I would love to get your feedback. There will be a survey that comes out afterwards. Someone's asking for the Learn World Facebook group. I'll go ahead and send that link out to you. Guys, if you're not part of the Facebook group, go ahead and join now. I'll send that link out in the chat. And please, please, please invite your friends. This is a mastermind, if you will. The more folks that we have in our group, the more chances we have to learn from someone that may have gone through or is going through exactly what you are going through at that moment. So it is to everyone's best interest to invite your friends. If you have a peer, maybe a cousin, a friend from across the country, and you've had this conversation with them that maybe they want to explore something outside the classroom, please invite them to the group. I will be posting free webinars and resources in the group. And then when everything is together, it will all come together in our Learn World course. So I see lots of folks signing up on the list for the course. So thank you guys. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Please send those in now. I see lots of folks still on, and I see lots of folks signing up for the interest list. So thank you for that. Kristen just signed up. Lindsay signed up for the interest list. Andrea just signed up. Kelly, Monica, Emma, Laura, Ashley, Michael, Angelica, Melissa, Nancy, Caroline, Kristen. Thank you, everyone. Oh, this is so great. Haley just signed up. Aaron signed up for the interest list. Julie, Paul, Libby, Jennifer, welcome. Kate, Kristen, Whitney, thank you guys. I'm so excited about this. And thank you again for carving time out to be with us here tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and check the chat and the Q&A one more time to see if we have any more questions coming in. I wanna make sure that everyone, all right, let's see. Kendall has her hand up. Kendall, do you still have a question? Please let me know. I will try to answer that for you. Let's see. Scott just got on the list. Robin M just put her name on the list. Rachel is on the interest list. Nikki, Natalie, welcome everyone. Kristen, Jennifer, thank you everyone. Okay, Kendall. All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see, Kendall on the list. Oh my gosh, guys, there's so many. If I don't say your name, it doesn't mean that you're not on the list. I'm so grateful for everyone. KK's on the list. Kendall, thank you. Jane, Stacy just joined the list. All right, guys. Okay, here is a question. Will everything in the course be like tonight's session? So that's a really great question. Tonight is one style of learning that you will find in our course, but there will be other types of learning. There'll be standalone learning modules that we're creating. For example, we have an amazing resume writer who's doing standalone resume sections. There'll be guides and PDFs, such as a guide with resume bullet points for transitioning teachers. Now, they might not all apply to you, but wouldn't it be great to have 100 bullet points to look at and figure out which ones apply to you and tweak them instead of starting from scratch? We're going to be doing those coffee chats that I mentioned. I do have a cover letter with an explainer video for you guys. So lots of really great resources. You'll be hearing from resume coaches, negotiation coaches, LinkedIn strategists, professionals in the field. We'll be having real life stories of teachers that have already made the transition. So you can also hear from your peers, tips and tricks, how to overcome that guilt that you may feel when you're exiting the classroom, how to answer questions from parents or coworkers. So there's lots of things that go into a career transition, and that's why we're going to break it down for you step by step. And it will all be there for you. All right, Alfreda, thank you for joining us. Tammy, hi, Tammy says, I hope I'm on the list. All right, Tammy, I can double check. And guys, I'll also post the interest list in the Facebook group. But I do see tons coming in. We had such a huge turnout tonight. I'm so grateful. Thank you all, especially the folks that have been in our Facebook group for almost a year now. We've just had our 1-year anniversary, and I'm so excited to really pivot myself, not only my career, but pivoting this Facebook group to really bring really important information to folks that are struggling and trying to make this pivot. I will see you guys on the next webinar. Don't forget to invite your friends, and I'll see you in the Facebook group.